There is a very powerful person, someone with status, money, access, the kind of life that looks curated from the outside because it is curated from the outside, who had an extremely specific type. They knew exactly what they wanted. Polished, feminine in the traditional sense, hair done, nails done. The kind of woman who walks into a room and the room knows she spent 2 hours getting ready and appreciates the investment. Heels, dresses, soft voice, delicate energy. That was the blueprint. That was the woman they imagined on their arm at the events, in the photos, across the table at the restaurants their life requires them to frequent. They had the checklist memorized. They'd been dating from it for years, and it worked on paper. Every woman they chose looked right, sounded right, fit the aesthetic. And every single one of them left this person feeling the exact same way afterward. Correct, but empty. Like eating a meal that photographs beautifully but has no flavor. And then they met you. You, with your sneakers, your oversized hoodie, your hair pulled back in a way that took 30 seconds and zero thought. Your laugh that comes out too loud and too sudden, and you don't cover your mouth because it never occurred to you that you should. You walking into spaces like you own them, not because you're performing confidence, but because it genuinely doesn't occur to you to perform anything. You sit with one leg up, you talk with your hands, you make jokes that land in the masculine register and then follow them with a softness so unexpected it gives people whiplash. You are feminine in a way that has nothing to do with heels and everything to do with a warmth that radiates through a hoodie and jeans as powerfully as it would through a gown. And this person, this high status, checklist carrying, blueprint following person looked at you and felt something crack. Not in their heart, in their framework, in the entire architecture of what they thought they wanted. Because you don't match a single item on the checklist. And you are the most magnetic person they have ever encountered. Okay, so I literally had to stop what I was doing to record this because the energy on this one is not playing around. I'm Stella Love Tarot with Stella. Subscribe if you're new because we stay busy around here. Real quick, only take what resonates, leave what doesn't. You know how we do. Now let me get into this because, oh my gosh, I have been waiting to tell somebody this all day. Let me tell you about your energy because what you carry is so rare, most people don't have a category for it. You exist in a space between masculine and feminine that most people don't even know is available. You carry both frequencies simultaneously without contradiction. You can change a tire and cry at a sunset. You can hold your own in a room full of men without adjusting a single thing about yourself and then turn around and nurture someone with a gentleness that makes their whole nervous system go quiet. You borrow from both sides of the spectrum without belonging exclusively to either, and the result is a human being so three-dimensional, so unlabelable, so stubbornly uncategorizable that people who need everyone to fit a box lose their minds around you because you keep breaking the box from the inside. And the feminine that you do carry because you carry it deeply, undeniably, even if the world doesn't recognize the packaging, shows up in ways that blindside people. It shows up in how you care, the ferocity of your loyalty, the way you'll fight for someone you love with an energy that is simultaneously the most masculine and the most feminine thing in the room, protective like a father and tender like a mother, and all of it living in one person who showed up in basketball shorts. It shows up in your eyes when you're being honest about something that scares you, the vulnerability that surfaces through the bravado like a flower growing through concrete. People don't expect softness from you. And when they get it, when the tomboy armor drops for a second and the raw, unprotected tenderness underneath becomes visible, it hits 10 times harder precisely because they didn't expect it. The surprise multiplies the impact. Your softness, arriving through the vehicle of your toughness, is the most disarming thing a human being can experience. And here's the thing about your tomboy energy specifically, the thing nobody says out loud because the world doesn't have language for it yet. It is devastatingly attractive to a very particular kind of person. Not everyone. You already know that. Your energy doesn't work on people who need their femininity prepackaged and predictable. It works on people who are tired. Specifically, people who are tired of the performance. People who have been surrounded by calculated aesthetics and manufactured softness for so long that encountering someone who is genuinely, aggressively, unapologetically themselves feels like breathing outdoor air after years in a climate controlled building. Your tomboy swag isn't a style, it's an ideology. It says, I am not going to rearrange myself to match your expectations. I'm going to show up exactly as I am. And if that's enough, we'll build something. And if it's not, I'll survive your departure because my identity was never constructed around your approval. That independence, that total, structural, unshakable independence from the male gaze is the thing that is destroying this high status person from the inside out because they are used to women who calibrate, who adjust, who shapeshift to match what they think power wants. And you walked in and didn't calibrate a single thing, and the power responded by rearranging itself around you. I keep getting the number 5 pulsing through this reading. 5 is disruption, revolution, the energy that dismantles structures that were never built right. This high status person's entire romantic framework was built on the wrong foundation: aesthetics over authenticity, presentation over presence, what looks right over what feels right. And you, without trying, without knowing, without any strategic intention, demolished that framework by existing near it. 5 also carries freedom. It means you are the most free person in this reading. And your freedom is the weapon that no amount of status, money, or power can defend against. Because you can't buy someone who doesn't want to be bought. And you sitting there in your sneakers with your unbothered energy are the most unbuyable thing this person has ever encountered. I'm picking up the initials X or G connected to this high status person, and for some of you, it could be a P or an I. Drop them in the comments if those hit. Now, let me describe this person, because understanding who they are makes your effect on them exponentially more significant. This is not someone who is easily shaken. They operate in environments where composure is currency and weakness is exploited. They've built their life around control, control of their image, their brand, their emotional exposure, their narrative. Everything in their world is intentional. The clothes, the car, the watch, the friends, the women they've been seen with, all selected with the precision of someone curating a gallery exhibition. Nothing accidental, nothing spontaneous, nothing that hasn't been vetted against the question, does this serve the image I've constructed? And then you showed up and you were so spectacularly, gloriously, hilariously unvetted that their entire curatorial system crashed. You weren't trying to be seen with them. You weren't performing for their friends. You didn't adjust your language, your posture, your energy, your volume, your clothing to match the environment you'd been placed in. You were exactly the same person you always are in their penthouse and at the gas station and in the group chat and at the fancy dinner where everyone else was performing their best impression of someone who belonged. You didn't perform belonging. You just belonged automatically by force of personality rather than costume. And the high status people around you, the ones who spend their lives curating, looked at your effortlessness and felt something they hadn't felt in years. Envy, not of what you have, of what you don't need. You don't need the approval they've built their entire infrastructure around obtaining, and watching someone exist without needing the thing you've organized your whole life around needing is the most disorienting experience available to a person in power. I'm getting strong Leo and Capricorn energy around this person, the sovereign and the strategist, someone whose public persona is immaculate and whose private persona is tired, exhausted by the curation, starving for something that doesn't come with a performance attached. And you are the first thing they've encountered in years that is genuinely, verifiably, structurally performance free. They don't have to guess whether you're being real because the concept of you being fake is almost comically impossible. You don't have the hardware for deception. Your face shows everything. Your voice hides nothing. Your body language is a live broadcast of your actual emotional state at all times, and you don't seem to mind. And for someone who has spent their entire adult life managing every microsignal they emit, watching someone broadcast unfiltered is both terrifying and the most attractive thing they've ever witnessed. For some of you, I'm picking up physical impressions about this person, someone whose aesthetic is sharp tailored, clean lines, everything intentional, down to the watch strap, jawline that could cut glass, something about their cologne that announces them before they enter a room, perfect posture, the kind that's maintained, not natural, and next to you with your slouch and your sneakers and your messy bun and your energy that takes up space without asking permission, the contrast is almost violent. And the contrast is exactly what's destroying them because the contrast reveals the performance. You, being effortlessly yourself, makes everything about their carefully constructed image look like what it is, a costume. And costumes only work when everyone in the room is wearing one. You showed up in your own skin and suddenly their costume feels suffocating. Now let me tell you what this person is experiencing internally, because it is a full psychological renovation happening in real time. They are questioning everything, not just their type, their values, the life they've built, the image they've maintained, the women they chose, and the reasons they chose them. They're lying in bed at night running a comparison that humiliates them. Every polished, appropriate, checklist-approved woman they've been with versus you wild-haired, loud-laughing, jean jacket wearing, takes up space, couldn't care less about the dress code you, and the comparison isn't close. Not because you're better, because you're real. And realness, it turns out, is the only thing their money couldn't buy and their status couldn't attract and their power couldn't compel. It had to walk in on its own terms, wearing sneakers and an attitude that said, I'm not here to impress you, I'm here to be here, take it or don't, and they took it. God help them, they took it, and they can't put it back. And here's what's happening to their social life because of you. Their friends, the inner circle, the other high status people whose opinions used to function as a secondary nervous system have noticed. They've noticed that this man is different, distracted, that his phone gets checked with a new kind of energy, that when someone asks about his dating life, he doesn't give the usual polished non-answer, he gets quiet, or he smiles in a way they've never seen a real smile, the kind that has nothing performative in it, and his friends are split. Some of them are fascinated, the ones who are also secretly exhausted by the performance and are watching his defection with the interest of potential deserters. And some of them are threatened, the ones whose entire identity is built on the same curated framework he's dismantling and who experience his attraction to you as a critique of their own choices. When he brings you up, and he does bring you up, casually, carefully, with the same studied nonchalance of a man who is anything but nonchalant, the room divides along those lines. And he's started noticing who falls where, and the people who don't understand you are the people he's starting to outgrow. You haven't just disrupted his romantic framework, you're restructuring his entire social hierarchy simply by existing. They imagine things about you that contradict every fantasy they've ever had. They used to imagine the perfect woman in their passenger seat, heels, hair down, something designer. Now they imagine you, feet on the dashboard, windows down, your hand out the window catching air, singing wrong, loudly wrong, not caring, and them watching you from the driver's seat and feeling something they haven't felt since before the money and the status and the image consumed their life. Joy. Simple, uncomplicated, nothing to prove, no audience required joy. The kind that doesn't photograph well and doesn't impress anyone and doesn't advance any agenda. Just joy. Your feet on their dashboard, the wind in your messy hair, and them realizing with a clarity that borders on grief that they have been chasing the wrong thing their entire adult life and the right thing was never on the checklist because the right thing was always going to be the thing that didn't fit. They imagine you meeting their world, not adjusting to it, disrupting it. They imagine you at a gala in sneakers because you refuse to wear heels, and the look on everyone's face when you walk in and their arm is around you, and the statement that makes is louder than any outfit could ever be. I chose her. Not the curated one, not the appropriate one, her. And the people in that room, the ones whose opinions used to matter, whose approval used to be the currency this person traded in, would look at you and some would be scandalized and some would be confused and some, the honest ones, the ones who are also tired of performing, would look at you with naked envy and think, she's free. How do I get free like that? The desire, and I need to be direct because it is thick in this reading. Your body in your tomboy uniform does something to this person that no amount of designer presentation has ever achieved because your body is unperformed. It moves the way it moves. It takes up the space it takes up. It doesn't apologize for its proportions or camouflage its features or present itself for evaluation. It exists functionally, comfortably, like a body that is used for living rather than displaying. And that functionality, the body as tool rather than ornament energy, is wildly, incomprehensibly, almost embarrassingly attractive to someone who has only ever been with bodies that were presented as ornaments. They imagine their hands on you and the fantasy isn't delicate. It's the opposite. Because your energy isn't delicate. It's present, full-bodied, unapologetic. They imagine a physicality with you that matches your personality, direct, unscripted, honest, slightly rough around the edges, more real than anything they've experienced, because nothing about it would be performed. Every sound, genuine, every movement, natural, every response, unmanaged. And the prospect of experiencing someone who is physically honest in a life full of physical performances is overwhelming them. The jealousy is class specific and it burns in a unique way. When they see you in your element, surrounded by your people, in your spaces, comfortable in ways you're never comfortable in their world, they feel something complex, not superior, jealous of the ease, of the belonging, of the unperformed laughter and the genuine connections and the absence of calculation in every interaction. Their world is a chess game. Your world is a living room. And they want the living room more than they want the penthouse. And that realization is destroying their entire identity because their identity was built on the assumption that the penthouse was the goal. And then there's the jealousy that comes from a direction they never expected. They're jealous of the men in your life who already occupy the space they want. Your guy friends, the ones who get the shoulder punches and the inside jokes and the easy, unperformed physicality of a woman who relates to men without agenda. They watch you interact with male friends, playful, casual, touching, without tension, laughing with the fullness of someone who has zero romantic calculation running in the background, and something primal fires in them that their expensive education has no framework for, because they can't compete on those terms. They can offer status, security, access, elevation, but they can't offer ease. They can't offer the unself-conscious comfort of the guy you've been friends with for years who gets the version of you that doesn't perform for anyone. And the fact that ease, simple, unglamorous, unpurchasable ease is the thing they can't buy is the most humbling experience of their adult life. I keep getting the number 22 master builder, but inverted, it means this person built a life that is structurally impressive, and emotionally uninhabitable. And you, by being everything their blueprint excluded, are showing them the blueprints they should have been using. The number 8 flashes alongside abundance. Financial shift, but not for this person, for you. Your season of receiving is here. Something creative or financial that rewards the exact energy you carry, unpolished, authentic, magnetic, is opening. The world is starting to pay market rate for the thing you've been giving away for free, the permission to stop performing. If this is hitting you right now, drop the words Tomboy swag in the comments. Like this video and subscribe, because what happens in this community is different from anything else on this platform, and I need your energy in here. Now let me bring this home, because I need to tell you something that you've probably never heard from another person in your life. Your refusal to conform is not a phase you'll grow out of. It's not a limitation that's keeping you from the right kind of attention. It's not something you need to polish, soften, feminize, or fix. Your tomboy energy, the sneakers, the oversized everything, the loud laugh, the take it or leave it posture, the total indifference to whether you match anyone's checklist is the most powerful frequency you carry. Not because it's rebellious, because it's honest. And honesty in a world of performances is the rarest and most disruptive force available. The high status person in this reading isn't falling for you despite your energy. They're falling because of it. Because your energy revealed a truth they've been spending their whole life running from. That the curated life is a beautiful cage, and you, unpolished, unchecklisted, unfixable, magnificent, you are the key. You don't need to be anyone else. You don't need to dress different. You don't need to soften your edges. The right person, the person with enough depth to see past the costume of the world and recognize what's real, doesn't want the polished version. They want the sneakers. They want the loud laugh. They want the dashboard feet. They want you exactly as you are, unchanged, unadjusted, unbothered, and they're already here. Okay, I need you to go receive this now. Stop overthinking it. Stop talking yourself out of it. This is coming for you and you deserve it, period. If this hit, like this video right now, share it with your person, subscribe, because I am literally always in here dropping something, and comment below because I read every single one and I want to know who this is about. Okay, go. I love you. Bye.